coin stuff, coin stuff. My philosophy when it comes to coin magic is very simple. Work the least as possible. I know it sounds counterintuitive, especially when it comes to coin magic that is entirely predicated on sleight of hand. And it's a very simple thing, but with that simplicity also comes a lot of different ideas that could be used with this particular methodology. So let's talk about it. But first, we need a coin. Obviously, it's coin magic, so we're going to need some coin. I have some change here. I'll tell you what, we could use. I could use this quarter. I'll use the nickel. I use the nickel. How's that? So we're just going to take it, and I want you to just keep a little bit of an eye on the nickel, because if we squeeze it, we could actually turn it into a very small version of itself. As a matter of fact, we could actually make it disappear completely using the power of science, or subtlety and magic and lying, essentially. So what we're doing is we're taking advantage of a little principle that I like to call the pile of change principle. Now, this is something, again, it's not new to me. It's been around since cavemen were doing coin tricks with rocks. But what I like about this is that essentially a pile of coins becomes your way of switching. It becomes your way of ditching coins. And it's something that becomes a little bit of, I hate to say organic, but it's something that makes your coin work essentially organic, because if a spectator has a pile of change in their pocket, you could do a lot with that, and you don't necessarily have to have anything on you. So it's a very interesting thing. But let's go over that basic vanish, and then we're going to talk about how to expand it from there. So what we're doing here is that we are lying. So right now I have a pile of change in my hand, as you could see there, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pile of change out. I'm going to come out with my right hand, and I'm going to pick up maybe two coins. As I say, we could use any one of these coins. So I show coins at the end of my fingertips here. I'm going to drop one of them. I'm going to drop another one, and I'm going to pretend to look at the other coin that's in my hand, which is of course nothing. It's nothing. It's a lie. So I'm just trying to contemplate here, making it seem like I'm contemplating as to what possible coin I could use, until I say, you know what, we'll use this dime. And of course, I'm holding nothing. You could say you're holding whatever it is you want. Now, I know this seems simple, but there's some subtlety to this, because if you just come up and do this, we'll use this coin, the spectators are going to be a little bit suspicious. So you don't want them to think that there's anything taking place here. This is just the selection of the coin. Again, the method should be different than the effect. That's something that I keep saying all the time. And to the spectator, if you turn this coin over and maybe you go, oh, look, it's gone, the method is too close to the actual effect taking place, the effect being a coin vanishing. So you want to add a little bit of time misdirection there in picking up a couple coins. So right now I just have a quarter and penny in my hand. I'm going to put back the penny, put back the quarter as I stare at a non-existent coin and go, perfect, I think the dime is going to work the best for this. Now I'm taking the pile of change and I'm putting it away in my pocket. Of course, there's nothing in my hand. David Williamson has a wonderful little bit of an idea when it comes to this concept based on stage magicians. Now you might see a stage magician do that wonderful trick where they're trying to break a spectator up in three, right? So they're in this box, this cabinet, they're put in the cabinet, and you put this knife, you know, between their neck and their head, and then you put another one in their waist. Now what the magician would do is that he would go to the box where the head is and whisper something. The implication being that the person is there, because why else would he whisper to this person over here if they're not there to begin with? So it's a nice little bit of a logic there that could be applied to this. I know it seems like a stretch, but it makes sense. In this case, we're taking nothing, we're putting it in the hand, we're concentrating on the hand. It vanishes. We take it here, and we're holding it in kind of a weird grip. We're taking it in a weird grip that implies that there could potentially be something there in the hand hidden. So when we make it vanish like this, the spectators think, oh, the dime or the quarter or the penny is just in the hand. He's just hiding it cleverly. So when we open our hand, their last point of reference is that the coin was here and somehow it vanished from this position. So you want them to think as far back as you want them to. You don't want them to think as far back as to the actual method. So we're instilling these little things that give them these moments where they think they know what's going on. So in this case, even though this might be clever and this might actually be a viable method, they still think, oh, he's just being clever. The dime or penny is just being hidden in the hand cleverly, until we actually open our hand completely and we show that the coin is gone. So at speed, it just looks like this. We take a pile of change, So we can use whichever coin here. I'll tell you what, we'll use the nickel. I think the nickel is going to work great for this. So what we do is that we actually squeeze it in the hand. And when we squeeze it, we could actually turn it really small. We could actually turn it really small until the point where it completely vanishes. And I mean, well, completely, because it's science. It's not magic. It's a scientific process here, sir. Um, so I guess that's kind of why magicians are so broke. We never make magic appear. We just make money disappear. I think I said magic. I meant to say money. Now, this could be applied to the spectator. So you could very easily have a spectator take out a pile of change and do it the same way from the spectator's hands. The only thing is that they're going to be holding on to the actual coins themselves. So we're just going to take the exact same methodology, say, great, that's going to work perfectly with the dime or whatever, and we're really taking nothing from their hand. So this is a wonderful way of having essentially nothing and being able to do something, in this case, a coin trick. Now, you could technically steal coins from their hand as well. So in this case, if you have a spectator with a pile of change, you could actually steal a coin as you are just trying to fill it around and see what coin would work best. So you could very easily just take a quarter and put it into a palm. At the same time, you could be fiddling around with the change in their pocket. So in this case, you could steal a quarter, maybe take a penny, and then do a switch for the actual, a bubble switch rather, and then you have a little bit of a trick where the penny turns into a quarter, and you don't even have to have a quarter on you to begin with. So it's a wonderful little bit of a premise that way, but that's just a simple little bit of idea with a pile of change in the spectator's hand. Another interesting idea here is to ring in your own props. It's going to make sense in a little bit, but we could use a penny, quarter. I'll tell you what, we'll use this dime. I think this dime is going to work out well, because if we take the dime and squeeze it, we could actually we'll turn it into a little bit of a Cuban delicacy in a cockroach. In a cockroach. So it's a little bit of a treat there for the kids. So this is just an easy thing. All you're doing is you're putting something in the hand to begin with. That's all you're doing. So in this case, instead of having nothing in your hand, you have something in your hand, which is something you've already ringed in. In this case, it could be a prop cockroach. So the way that would work, very simply, you could either do this with the spectator holding the change, or you could do this with your own pile of change. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is the exact same thing. The only difference is that now you have an object in the hand. So we're going to take a couple coins. We're going to say, this might work with a quarter. I think it's going to work best with a dime. Of course, all I have is a cockroach in my hand. So now I could take the cockroach or coin, supposedly, throw it in the hand. If you want, you could actually take it and drop it in the hand. They see something physically fall into the hand, squeeze it, and it becomes a cockroach. So that's what's one way to introduce a little bit of a fun when it comes to this premise. So another interesting idea based on this concept is a bent quarter. So you could say, oh look, we'll take a quarter. I think a quarter is going to be the most impressive, sir. And if we take it and squeeze it, we could actually cause a little bit of Superman action here, because the quarter is now bent. And of course, you're doing this by ringing in a bent quarter. So we just got a quarter. I wrapped it in paper towels. I got 2 pairs of pliers and bent it. The reason you want to wrap it in paper towels is because if you don't do that, it leaves teeth marks on the quarter, and you don't want that. So wrapping it in a towel or paper towels is enough to dissipate the actual teeth marks of the pliers themselves. And this is just going to be in your pocket. Now, I do recommend having the spectator bring out their pile of change. So I would only do this if the spectator has a pile of change, because if I take out my pile of change, well, the quarter could have just been in the pile, and I could have just taken and hidden it in my hand. So if you take it from the spectator's hand, it becomes a little bit of a borrowed quarter bit, and it's technically their quarter, whereas this is your quarter, and it could be a trick quarter. So you want to make sure that you do this with the spectator's pile of change rather than your own. Another little bit of an interesting idea is to have 2. So to have 2 bent quarters, so that if the spectator tells you to do it again with their quarter, you could easily ring in or switch in your quarter and do the same exact thing. You could even repeat the same method. So you could even have them take out a pile of change and do the exact same thing, pretend to pick up a coin, and actually repeat the same method with 2 quarters, and you've managed to acquiesce to their challenge. So in this case, it becomes that much stronger, because not only have you bent a quarter, established the premise to begin with, you have now also bent a quarter that they have requested you to bend. So it becomes a little bit of a challenge, and you're able to answer to that challenge. So it's a fun little bit of an idea. So as I mentioned from the beginning of the video, as you can see, it's a very simple premise. It's something that definitely wouldn't warrant an 11-minute video on the actual trick, but I love taking these simple concepts and seeing how far we could stretch it. And here you could do whatever it is that you want with this. Let's say you have the spectator take out a pile of change. You could even ring in a quarter that is a predetermined age. So let's say you have a quarter here that you've predicted ahead of time is from 1974, where you could ring in your quarter and say, perfect, I want you to hold on to that one. Again, your pile of change, hold on to that coin. And you could have a little bit of a mentalism bit with this. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a change or a transfer or vanish. It could just be a switch for an existing routine. So just little things like that, and stretching these premises as much as they can and taking as much value from them as possible is definitely a good thing when it comes to any aspect of coin magic, card magic, whatever it may be. So when it comes to this premise, it may be simple, it may be something that's a throwaway. I learned this from a kid's book. As a matter of fact, the kid's Klutz book of coin magic is where I learned this particular premise. So imagine something like that could be found in a coins book for kids could be stretched out to a very workable routine. It's something that you could have a lot of fun with. So that's today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for being members of the Pigcake Card Coin Academy, and I hope to see you on the next one.